G'day and welcome back to RC Model Reviews and Not So Weekly news, and it's not much news about me this time, it's about other things. First thing is, I was on the SUAS News webcast this morning, and Gary Mortimer, who runs SUAS News, go and check out the site, I'll put a link in the description. We run a webcast every, I guess it's Tuesday, most of the world, Wednesday, New Zealand time. And in that webcast, Gary brings up some of the latest issues confronting the UAV industry and hobby, with drones and whatever. And this week he pointed me at a story on his website about HobbyKing. It appears that HobbyKing has been pinged by the FCC in the USA for selling stuff that doesn't have certification. And who'd have thought? And I have one here somewhere. It's this, the Orange Series DSM transmitter modules. Apparently back in January of this year, the FCC laid a complaint with HobbyKing saying they're selling stuff without the necessary certifications and testing and approvals. And the most interesting thing about this whole thing is HobbyKing's response. Basically, HobbyKing came back and said, well, we're just a small company and we're going to close shop anyway soon. So how does that work? I mean, that was back in, looks like January of this year, and they're still going, so I don't know what they're doing there. Anyway, in November, the FCC basically filed charges against HobbyKing over this thing. HobbyKing have said, we're not selling these things anymore. It's just not a big deal. I don't know. What will happen? Who knows? Yeah. But it's interesting, isn't it? I wonder if the FCC is going to get a lot more proactive now. I suspect actually that someone like Horizon or Spectrum filed the complaint because obviously Orange Gear is a big competitor to the genuine Spectrum stuff. So yeah, that's what happens when you're in business. You take every opportunity, I suppose, to knock your competition if you can, if they're costing you money. So that's probably what they did. I don't know for sure. That's just a guess. But either way, well, whatever the story really is, HobbyKing getting pinged, and the fines are quite high. It's $18,000 a day that you don't comply. Work that up to a fairly sizable amount of money in a fairly short space of time. Okay, so that's that. Now, a YouTube channel I came across this week because they talked about me is, I think it's RC Coffee. Anyway, it's this one, and there's a link in the description of this video. Now, this is a guy called Matt. He's in the UK, and I love this channel because he just shares his enthusiasm about the hobby. Now, he's does a bit of flying, and he tells us about it and what he's doing and the gear he's bought, and it's great. It's like I sit down every morning now and have a coffee and watch him. It's brilliant. It's a great little channel, not pretentious, just one guy who likes to share his fun of having the fun he has with the hobby, and that is great because that's what it's all about. So go and have a look at that. Go and have a look at Matt's channel, and if you like it, subscribe like I did. Who knows, you might enjoy it. Right, also now, as most people know, I have a bit of a issue with the regulations regarding drones because I'm an old school radio control model flyer, and I'm quite annoyed that regulators don't seem to bother to want to draw a distinction between people like myself and probably most of you watching this and droners. Droners are the people that go out, buy a drone online or from China or whatever. It arrives, they take it out of the box, and they go out and make a nuisance of themselves. They don't have a commitment to the hobby, at least not when they start, and they see the drone as more of a flying camera than a model aircraft with a camera on it. It's a camera with wings, not a model with a camera. That's the big distinction. So yeah, the regulators, they don't give a damn. They don't give a toss. They don't care. They just say, right, it flies, it's radio controlled, it's a drone, and we're going to regulate the snot out of it, which they have done in most countries. Now, I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking, this is unreasonable because regulations, sure, they have to protect the public's safety, but also they can't unreasonably withdraw rights. They can't unreasonably constrain people who have never posed a threat from doing things that don't pose a threat. And I'm talking about the RC model flying community. Yeah, this is a little bit of a rant, I'm afraid, but when we look at it like that, RC modelers, as I've said on many occasions, we've been flying models for decades and we've never been a real issue. You have never seen headlines saying model flyers threaten aircraft, model flyers threaten babies and prams, blah, blah, blah. And sure, there's been one or two incidents, but when you consider just how many model flights have been made over the many decades, the risks from RC models are really, really low, and they're getting lower because it used to be, when I started, that a radio controlled model aircraft weighed 6 pounds and it had a great big snotty nitro motor in the front that turned a flesh cleaving prop, but if you got hit by one of those, you would know about it. But these days, got little foam models that weigh 100 grams, with electric motors in the back that push them along. They're safe as houses. Really, it's a lot safer these days. I remember when we used to fly control line in the park, and people would be walking past and we're flying control line, vroom, vroom, 50, 60 miles an hour with a nitro powered control line model. No way of stopping the motor, and very little control half the time. That was deemed to be okay because it was a healthy outdoor activity for young boys and girls. But these days, you can't fly a little Cheerson CX-10 without being a risk to the national security. So I had a thought. I thought, well, hang on a minute. I need some kind of comparison, some kind of analogy to present to regulators, because by and large, they're not that bright. I'm sorry, I know I'm not making any friends here, but it's been my experience that regulators, they're relatively keen to get things done in the shortest, easiest way. So they don't really stop and think about stuff. Most of the regulators, they don't have much experience in that which they're regulating, certainly when it comes to FPV and radio control models. So I thought, well, let's see. There has never been a documented evidenced instance of a recreational drone striking a full-size aircraft. Okay, so all these, I read in the paper every day, oh, you know, near miss here and a near miss there and an incident here, and these drones are going to bring down airliners, but it just has not happened. And okay, it could happen, maybe it will happen, but in the meantime, hundreds of people have been injured by meteors falling from space, and $400 million a year of damage is done to full-size aircraft by birds, and that's just in the USA alone. Got me thinking about birds. Now, if you build or buy a drone and you fly it, you're regulated. You've got a big set of rules. You must do this, you must do that, you must not do this, must not do that. That's because we're told drones pose a threat to other aircraft in the airspace. And I was thinking, well, hang on a minute. What about people who breed birds? And also who race birds, just like I race a mini-quad. And I build mini-quads. So what's the difference between me building a mini-quad and somebody breeding birds? What's the difference between me racing a mini-quad and somebody racing birds? And I'm talking about pigeons, for example. Now, there's a group of people around the world, they call themselves pigeon fanciers. I don't know why they call themselves pigeon fanciers, but they like pigeons. Fair enough, great, you know, fantastic. So they breed pigeons and they race them. You know, you've probably seen it. They take them in little baskets and release them a long way from the home point, and they manage to fly back. Sometimes it takes a long time, but they manage to fly back to where they came from. And by timing it, you can race them. Whose bird gets back the quickest? And that's great. But if we look at that from an FPV perspective, from a model perspective, these people are releasing a flying object, which then goes beyond visual line of sight and can fly through controlled airspace and can cause problems, can actually hit full-size aircraft, because there are many reported instances of pigeons colliding with full-size aircraft. In fact, there was an incident at Brisbane Airport not so long ago where a flock of racing pigeons was ingested by a jet engine in an aircraft, and it caused damage to the turbine. It caused an incident. So there are many recorded instances of racing pigeons causing damage to aircraft, but they're not regulated. And there are no confirmed instances of drones hitting aircraft, but they are regulated. So I'm thinking, what's going on here? There's my comparison. So why is it that the airspace regulators come down on us like a ton of bricks because we have things that fly and could hit an airplane, but they're not concerned at all about people breeding and racing pigeons, which have hit airplanes and have caused damage and have placed life in danger? And there is really no difference. People say, oh, but you can't control birds. They're a natural, they're a wildlife. But that's not true. In the case of racing pigeons, they are released from a point by people who breed them to fly back to another point. So they are under the control of humans. Just as I could release a free flight model that could fly across town and land somewhere else. Again, there's no difference. The fact that it's a bird and not a drone, or a bird and not a model aircraft, is irrelevant. It's still something that flies and can pose a threat to the national airspace, to aircraft using that airspace. And you might say, oh yes, but a bird has got a huge sensory awareness and it wouldn't fly into an airplane like a drone could or a model aircraft. You might not see a plane coming and you could smash into it, especially if you're flying FPV. Well, look at the facts. Again, there are many reported instances of pigeons hitting full-size aircraft. Where's their spatial awareness or their situational awareness then? But there are no evidenced cases of drones hitting full-size aircraft. So that argument falls flat on its face. So you can't say it's okay because they're wildlife, because that doesn't work out, because people are actually releasing them from points. So they're under the control of humans. And you can't say it's okay because they'll dodge airplanes, because obviously they can't always dodge airplanes. So why are the pigeon fanciers free from any kind of regulation by the airspace authorities, but drone flyers, who've never caused any of this mayhem, are not? And why are model flyers so heavily regulated when they haven't caused any problems? So I think the regulators have got a few questions to answer. Why are we having our freedoms and our rights removed from us for no good reason, whilst a group that has caused damage to aircraft and places lives in jeopardy by flying their racing pigeons through controlled airspace or uncontrolled airspace, they're not regulated at all? Now, before I get a whole lot of hate mails from pigeon fanciers, I've got nothing against pigeons. In fact, good luck to you. Carry on. Great sport, great hobby. But what I'm getting at is we need some parity here. We need some equity between these two groups. If you're going to regulate the model flyers, you've got to regulate the pigeon flyers. But if you're not going to regulate pigeon flyers, you shouldn't be regulating us because we've never caused any problems. We're not a risk. But regulators don't see it that way. So are they really as stupid as they would appear? Well, draw your own conclusions. I can't possibly answer that in any way, shape or form. So there you go. That's just a little bit of news for today. I just wanted to get that out there so that I could have a vent and tell you about Matt and also about Gary Mortimer's SUAS channel and the HobbyKing thing. I wonder what's going to happen there. I know a lot of people have emailed me and said, what's going on at HobbyKing? Their website is a mess. And I must admit, I haven't bought anything from HobbyKing for quite a while now because I'm having trouble negotiating the website. I'm pissed off with the fact that I can't choose a warehouse. It's just a bit of a nightmare. Now, they are fixing stuff up and they have admitted, yeah, there's some problems. But once they get it sorted, I'll go back and buy some stuff. But in the meantime, it's just not worth the aggro. Honestly, it's just not worth the aggro. So HobbyKing have done the unforgivable. They've fixed something that wasn't broken. And in doing so, they've broken it. I've seen it happen with so many websites. Remember when YouTube fixed Google Plus and, when Google fixed Google Plus and YouTube by integrating them? What a disaster. I'm still recovering from that mess. There are still sometimes I can't post replies to comments on my YouTube channel because YouTube doesn't know who I am or it thinks I'm someone else or whatever. It's just this complete mess and it's taken them years to untangle it and they're still not finished. So don't fix stuff that isn't broken. Did you have people complaining that your website's too easy to use? It's too easy to find stuff? It's too easy? No one was complaining about that sort of thing, but you broke it anyway. So come on, HobbyKing, get your act together. Make it easy for us to buy from you. And if you watch Matt's channel, the RC Coffee channel, you'll find that he was pretty less than impressed with the Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals at HobbyKing. And I must admit, I had a look around, I couldn't find anything worth buying, even when I could find the web pages I wanted. So I don't know what's happening at HobbyKing. Maybe it's just a little hiccup. I hope it's just a little hiccup. I hope that they weren't kidding when they said, we're just a small company and we're going to be closing down soon. There you go. Thanks for watching. I will get on. So much to do. Got to get ready for Fixed Wing Friday. So stay tuned for that one. Bye for now.